Hey guys, it's Donald the Solo RPG Guy coming back at you with another video. Scarlet Heroes by Kevin Crawford. Now I know I'm a little late to the party when it comes to Scarlet Heroes. I know Geek Gamers and Artichoke Dip and Stone Axe Gaming, Tabletop Gaming, and Daniel over at the Dungeon Dive have already done reviews, previews, and talks about this game. And there's a reason why I'm late to the party. When I first heard about this game and I saw the character sheets, and I saw that it was strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma, all the usual suspects we're used to for an OSR type game, I immediately just disregarded it. And the reason why I disregarded it is because, well, I've played D&D for 35 years, both as a player and as a DM. And I've seen all the other OSR games, and to me, they were just copycats. I already have that hardback book that comes for the all the basic D&D editions put together. Plus, I've got a ton of D&D 3rd edition books, and some 4th and some 5th. And, well, actually, no, I don't have any 5th, but 2nd edition. So I was like, okay, I don't need another OSR copycat. Come to find out, this isn't just another OSR copycat. You probably can't see it very well because of it. This is not the actual book, but a PDF printing. And it says right here, Grognards, read this note. Those readers who have a great deal of experience with old school games may be tempted to skip this chapter, trusting that they already know how most of these systems work. That would be an unfortunate mistake. There are some basic differences between the way Scarlet Hero works and the way most other old school games operate. The statistics and rolls and numbers may look the same, but they are used very differently. In my opinion, this should actually be on the front cover, so that old grognards like me would take a second look and look at it closer. Now, luckily, Daniel over at the Dungeon Dive did an awesome job when he was doing his solo RPG attempt, and that was the little catalyst that prompted me to get this game. Now, like I said, this is a printout of the PDF. So for those of you who are looking for, the standard book review, how good the binding is and the color art and whatever the case may be, this will not be the video for you. Now, in full disclosure, I did buy the PDF and I did pay for the PDF to be printed out like this. And the reason why, knowing that it's full of all these awesome charts in the back, when I was playing the game, I wanted a book that would lay flat, that I can just easily flip through and get to where I wanted to go. Now, I'm sure the book is awesome. Most stuff I get from Drive-Thru-RPG is. And in fact, I was so impressed by his work, I got this big boy here, Worlds Without Number, which you can possibly use as a bulletproof vest. Now, I wanted to see, I conducted this little experiment. I wanted to see if I was a brand new RPG player or even an experienced player who wanted to take a dive into the solo RPG experience, would this book work? I used solely this book. I didn't go into Ironsworn, I didn't pull out Mythic, I didn't do any of the other stuff soloists have a tendency to do. I wanted to see if this game would be a good starting point for someone starting off playing solo RPGs. This little figure here represents this guy here, Grumdeck Ironbeard from Clan Ironholm, known by his friends as Grumpy. As you can see, the entire character sheet can fit on one index card. Nothing even written on the back. So that's a good thing for a solo player, that there's not a lot to keep track of. Everything can fit on a simple index card. You don't even need miniatures. Although if you like miniatures, you can use your miniatures, but this game can be played just as easily. Theater of the mind. Now what this little thing here represents is my attempt. There's just the basic rules that I was using for, I skinned Scarlet Heroes over another RPG called Jackals, and this is just my checklist off for doing a hex crawl. Now, Geek Gamers and all the other solo RPG players have already, demonstrated how combat works, or how the investigation works for the if you're in a city or a town or a village and you want, that type of gaming experience. And a long time ago, there was a guy who actually used this for a hex crawl. But somehow, some way, his YouTube channel just disappeared. And there was no more references online that I can find to say, okay, I've seen how the court intrigue and urban adventure stuff works, as Geek Gamers and Daniel over at the Dungeon Dive have shown. Stone Axe Gaming and a couple other people showed how the basics of combat works. And we've all done most dungeon adventures, but I wanted to see how this book would hold up just by itself doing a hex crawl. And that's what this mess represents. This little childish looking map here is my little hex crawl. This is Ironholm, his home. And these little symbols represent the hills, and there's some scrublands up there that he hasn't reached yet. And then these little scribble scratch notes, which I know you can't read very well because my handwriting is atrocious, represents the first 2 hex crawls he went on. So my experiment was, can someone who's brand new to solo RPG take this book just by itself, no Ironsworn, no Forbidden Lands, no charts or anything from any other book, and have a good starting point to solo RPG? And the only thing I can say is yes. If you are new to solo RPG, and if you've already tried Ironsworn, and for whatever reason you did not like Ironsworn, I recommend you get Scarlet Heroes. There is definitely enough information in here to get you started as a soloist. Your characters will feel heroic. In fact, this little bad picture here, because I know it's a black and white copy. This is actually the area my dwarf is exploring. That mountain right there is where Ironholm is, and this is the area he's exploring. So, if you're new and you don't know where to start, and you've seen all the online information out there regarding Ironsworn, and you're looking for a game to start with, this would be on my recommended list. However, it does come with a caveat. The setting is a very dark, grim fantasy setting. If this were to be made a movie, it would definitely be PG-13 if you dumbed it down. It'd be closer to an R-rated Game of Thrones with an Asian flair. But if you're not interested in the setting, you can always just simply turn to the back, use these awesome charts that are in the back, starting here on page 114, and just go with it. You got everything you need in here as a soloist to start. And if you like this adventure tag system, and you like what you see in here, and you really want to go in for a deep dive, then you might want to do some research and check out Worlds Without Number, because I don't know how well it's going to show up, but as you can see, there's some minor color coding on the side, and that color coding is coming from these little pictures they have here on the side, but each picture is the same for the chapter, and this chapter alone is all about world building. in much the same vein he does in Scarlet Heroes. And then, of course, if you actually play with a group, he offers GM advice. And I'm going to use this time to offer you a bit of advice. If you can, into what's going on with the world today, if you can actually sit down and GM a game with people, start. Because if you learn how to GM other people, it'll definitely help you in GMing yourself. It's kind of hard to take the role as a GM to solo if you've never GM'd before. That was one of the reasons why I had such a hard time when it came to learning how to solo, because at that time the only channels that were up on YouTube on the subject were Artichoke Dips and Geek Gamers. And Geek Gamers openly admitted at that time she never played with a group other than with her children. And Artichoke Dip mentioned that he mostly played solo, although he occasionally played with a group. So I was like, oh, what about the rest of us? What about those of us that have been playing this game for 30 years in groups? How do we solo? So after thinking about it, yeah, I came to the conclusion the fact that I was a GM for a long time helped me finally, once I wrapped my head around the solo experience, get through it. But going back to what I was saying at the initial part of this, if you're looking for somewhere to start, Scarlet Heroes is a good place to start. And with that, I think I'll just end this short little video. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them down there, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you.